Welcome back to Unfiltered Insurance and Adjuster Talk. I'm Conticia, and this is Beyond the Claim. Now, recently, I was asked by a young lady, how does she become an independent adjuster? So I began to give her the full spiel and, tell her, look, this is how I did it. I took a class over the weekend. I think I did Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, got my 40 hours out the way. And then from the material I learned, I studied for about 2 weeks and I went and took my test. I passed. And then I began to get affiliated with different firms like, a Crawford or EA Renfro, Pilot. So the goal is to get on a number of rosters so when work comes, you will be notified and you'll be all set to go. And when you're getting on those rosters, they will start, training you, getting you different certifications like through State Farm. You can do certifications like with Xactimate, Simplicity, all those different ones like that. I think it's called Simplicity or something like that. I can't pronounce it all that great, but it's normally what Allstate use. All right. You all can correct me the correct pronunciation for that program. So I began to tell her exactly how I got in, what I did, what's the normal process. And then she asked me a question. She asked me, how are things going in that industry? And I had to tell her, not good. And so I began to try to look up numbers regarding independent adjusters. Now, I'm not talking about just insurance adjusters. I'm talking about independent adjusters that normally come in when major catastrophic storms come through or catastrophic things happen. We're called in to come and assist insurance companies. And normally that was our job, our role is that we do come in to assist the insurance companies. But what happened was that there were so many catastrophic things that happened that on top of their staff adjusters not being able to handle the catastrophes and the normal things that go on with having an insurance company and claims, we stayed working mainly all year round. We were rarely unemployed. I can say when I started working, I probably was unemployed 1 to 2 times, but since then I had a consistency. I probably was off maybe 3 to 4 weeks sometimes. There are times where I wasn't even off that much, maybe a week. And then I was called right back into a different role. Normally, I would work frozen pipe season to hail season. Hail season would take me into hurricane season. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know from me that has changed tremendously. 2024, I was released that January. I didn't get back to work and actually get my first paycheck until June. I was back off of work November, and when they did bring us back on at that time, we were pretty much in a different role. And then it's almost like we were employees. We weren't independent. We were only working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. To us, that's really no money of how we normally work 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. And with our overtime, that made our pay. And so when you broke us down to like a normal worker, it almost seemed like we weren't independent anymore and our salaries weren't great anymore like normally they would be because of the set of skills that we have, because we have skills as independent adjusters. Now, so I just sort of really had to be honest with her about the state of our affairs. We're unemployed. I'm no longer unemployed right now, thank God. But I had to shift. I had to shift to a different industry. I just had to shift unless I would begin to lose things. I've had a number of my friends that I've worked with, or I would say work friends, that I've worked with who have called, who have texted and asked me, what am I doing? Have I heard anything? Is anybody hiring? Because they're right on the edge of beginning to lose things. Unemployment, unemployment can't compare to your salary, but it does help some, but it's just no comparison. And so I had to be very honest with the young lady and say to her, I don't know if it's a good time to be an independent adjuster, but maybe it'll be a good time to become a staff adjuster. I would say recently I did do an episode about the company Lemonade, how their bot, Jim, he pretty much do 98, 96, no, 90% of their claims. He take care of 90% of their claims. They don't talk to anyone. He made payments within 10 to 15 minutes. Those people are having those payments in their account. He's settling those claims unless he's detected some type of fraud or their complex claims. So, and I did let a counterpart know about Lemonade. He applied with them and he has begun to work with them. I am going to check in with him to see how it is going, so we can get an update of how Lemonade really works. And this independent adjuster transferring over to staff adjuster with Lemonade. Now, and that's what I was saying to her. Now, if you want to go ahead and be proactive and get your license, you definitely can. That will get you maybe a foot up in the door as a staff adjuster, to let them know that you already have your license. You've never really worked IA, because the word out is that staff adjusters, companies aren't really hiring IAs to become staff adjusters because of the fear of them leaving. So there's a lot of IAs that are out of work. Now, my question was, and I'm like, I need to bring this to the table to you all. Is becoming an independent adjuster still worth it? Or if you do get your license, you need to be seeking to be an insurance adjuster to where you're working staff. That's my question I have. Is it still worth it? I even tried to, again, go into the system, look up what do our unemployment rate looks like as independent adjusters. There's no research for us. There's no data being tracked for independent adjusters to take a look at where we are so we can make a good decision to know what we need to do when we're faced with this type of affairs, because we're in a state of affairs to where we're not working. And recently a young man reached out to me who I have not heard from maybe since my second deployment, which will probably be about 7 years ago. He reached out to me today. Thank God I still got the same phone number. But he reached out to me and he asked me what was I doing. And I currently told him, I said, well, I am working in a different industry than the independent adjusting industry. I'm working with FEMA. And I said, IAs are really struggling. And he was like, absolutely. He's like, I left property a while ago and I went to go work with AIG. I am doing, what did he say he was doing? He said that he is doing workers' compensation. And he said he was saying that, as independent adjusters, we need to start getting other certifications in those different type of roles, because it's pretty much still surrounding of what we normally do. We're investigators. We're collecting data. We're collecting information and we're making decisions just like workers' compensation. So what I do want to say is that if you are an independent adjuster and you're still sitting around waiting for a firm to call you, don't do that. It is time for you to shift and make a pivot. There's different parts of the insurance industry that we can definitely go into. And he is working staff, but he got out of the property side of it and went into workers' compensation. That is ideal as well. I remember there's a company that's in Texas, I believe, that take you through a workers' compensation course to where you become certified in workers' compensation. Now, the reason why I keep coming back to this reality, I'm like, I really want independent adjusters. I'm not saying insurance adjusters are no longer needed, because that is not true. We will always be needed in some type of capacity, because Jim or whatever AI bot that these companies do create to come alongside humans to take some of the workload off, you still need that human touch. You need that human effect, compassion, and understanding that a bot can't give. And most of the time, we like to speak to someone specifically, to make sure things are going right, as a person, as a human being. So pivoting is going to be necessary for independent adjuster. If you have not understood it now, or if you have not read the room as of yet, I suggest you read the room. There's plenty of us unemployed. There's a lot of us still unemployed. And I do say, with these companies shifting to where they're saying they're no longer going to be using independent adjusters, I just got that information maybe last week. I was in training. One of my friends called me, that we're normally, one of my work friends called me, and we were talking through some things, and she was saying, yeah, they still have their group chat together of what we when we're talking, when we're at work, they still have their group chat. And the manager told her that State Farm told the farm that we're normally working through that they're going to use their staff, that right now they don't have a need for independent adjusters. And it looked like that is what's happening across the board. Now, I'm not saying give up, because you can still get with as many firms as you can, and try to get a plug in. I think right now the thing is going to be like who to help you sort of get in and get a spot in, because there are some firms that are still hiring. And I will say that the smaller insurance companies, not the big ones like the Allstates and the State Farms and farmers. No, there are smaller insurance companies. And I will be honest with you, typically when I was on deployment, most of the time, the smaller insurance companies paid the most. But it's like I was so loyal, I couldn't just hop from one firm to another firm to get that pay, because I've known people that was making $20,000 a month working through a smaller firm. And so I do say seek out the smaller firms and see what positions they may have available, because I'm quite sure they need adjusters as well. And listen, independent adjusters are some very skilled people. We are very skilled. So we got to put our skills to use. We've got to be able to promote ourselves and not be afraid to. And I'm thinking to myself, and I keep bringing this question up too, is there another way that we can really position ourselves to be seen except through a firm? Like, how can we independently go in, maybe as a temp, as a temp, cut out the middleman, and we're able to go with the insurance companies directly where they're hiring us as temp. Maybe we may need some errors and omissions insurance. That's okay, because that doesn't cost that much. I've had that before when I was using my other license that I have, my life and health license. That doesn't cost that much to do that. But we just got to understand the temperature, the state of our affairs, where we are with being an independent adjuster. Yes, I had to shift. And if I didn't shift, I would have, just like everybody else that's out of work for so long, you will begin to lose things. And then you're really struggling. You're really trying to figure out what to do. I think, me personally, I feel that if you want to become an IA at this time, it may be something you want to put in your back pocket for the future, just in case things change. But having the insurance license will may be good, that the company would not have to invest that in you. You already come to them equipped with this license. I did that before with my life and health license. I was working at a benefits company, and I was working temp with them, and I did get on full time. And then I, on my own, got my health and life license and began to work that with a young lady who I hooked up with at the company. But this was outside of the company. And when they needed another benefit counselor because someone was leaving, I walked right in because the manager came to me and said, Conticia, I know you have a license. I need someone immediately. And I walked right in. See, the other chicks that were there, they couldn't walk in because they were waiting for the company to purchase their license for them to send them to school. But I already had my license. And when they needed someone immediately, I hopped right in, took that role, and I was like the second Black woman to be a benefits counselor at that job. And that's a pretty good job because you make pretty decent money at being a benefit counselor. So if you want to go ahead and get those license, to have in your back pocket, and maybe you can, get on in that way, that they don't have to get you trained and get you, where you have to study and then get the license. They don't have to pay that part. You already did that work for them. So that's the way I can say, okay, well, but going to get your license can be great. But right now, if that's an industry you're trying to shift into, being an independent adjuster, that's my take on it. Not right now. This is not the time to get into this industry as an independent adjuster, but as a claims adjuster and insurance adjuster, they're always needed. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know do you think becoming an IA is still worth it at this point in the game? All right. Now, one other thing I want to tap on too is that my last video I did, I talked about Luigi Mangione, the guy who allegedly killed the CEO of United Healthcare. I got some pushback on that video because some people said to me, first of all, Conticia, allegedly, he has not been tried. He has not been convicted. This is still allegedly. And they also told me since my last video, I think he was around that he raised around about $300,000. No, he is at over $700,000 that individuals like us, have contributed to his legal fund. This is somebody who is allegedly being tried for killing the CEO of United Healthcare. That let you know the state of affairs that our country is in. Consumers are angry. Consumers are not having it anymore. They're not having it anymore. And then for them to raise so much money for this guy's defense, because they realized that according to what I researched, United Healthcare pretty much had an AI bot that was pretty much doing the work like Lemonade, saying whether a claim is approved or not. Still need that human touch. You still need that human there to understand what is happening here. Because it's hard as a consumer to fight insurance companies if you don't know what you're doing. Only reason why I know what I'm doing is that I'm a claim adjuster. I know how to do this. I know my rights. I know how to read policy. Regular people don't know how to. And then I have a life and health license. I've been a benefit counselor. I know how benefits work. So people are angry. This is the temperature in this country when an accused killer can raise over $700,000 for his defense. Let that sink in. Consumers are pissed. Consumers are angry. And I feel that consumers are going to start to take more action. And I'm not saying like killing or whatever, not like that, but they're going to start taking more action and doing more pushback for these companies that think that they're so big that they can do anything and treat us any kind of way because they're big. That's not necessarily true, because the truth of the matter, there is more of us than them. So I did want to correct myself about Luigi Mangione, the accused killer of United Healthcare. I think his name was Brian Thompson, the CEO, that he has raised almost $700,000 for his defense. And that accused, I said that he was, he murdered him in my last video, and I need to make a correction with that. He's accused. You can let that sink in how you want to, but I'm letting you know how the American people, how the public is looking at this. I am getting corrected and saying he is accused, not convicted. I can't say he murdered. No, I need to say accused. Let that sink in. But anyways, let me know what your thoughts are. Is becoming an IA still worth it? What do we do as an IA? What other industry do we need to go into? Leave a comment. Hey, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep making these videos, so you might as well come on, be my friend. Subscribe to this channel and get in on the conversation. Because listen, don't think because maybe you are an agent or you a staffer that what I'm talking about does not apply to you. That's not true. Because I'm going to tell you something. AI is on y'all tails too. Let AI get some more AI going on. They're going to be cutting y'all too, just like the government doing. They're going to find you all obsolete and keep just a handful of y'all. So you might as well subscribe to this episode or to this channel. Put the thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Also, let me know what's going on in your atmosphere, in your workplace, in your insurance world. That's what this is what this podcast is for. It's unfiltered insurance and adjuster talk. All right. Bye for now.